Hello everyone, I am Dipali Pathak and today I am going to teach you second chapter of class 12, that is sexual reproduction in organism. In last lecture, we have studied about the asexual reproduction in organism where we discussed about the formation of reproductive units and involvement of the organism and many other characteristics of it. But today we will study about the character of sexual reproduction and detailed about the formation of reproductive unit, different phases during the reproduction and during the lifespan of the organism. So let's come to understand the second chapter of class 12, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Student, when I taught you asexual reproduction in organism, I explained you some characters of it. And today we are going to understand the characteristics of sexual reproduction. When sexual reproduction takes place in organism, here the involvement and fusion of gametes also takes place. So sexual reproduction involves two germ cells which are known as gametes, and they belonging to either the same or different parents. Means gametes may form in different organism or may form in same organism's body. The reproductive units are called as gametes. These gametes are actually the reproductive units which involved in the formation of new organism, which is unicellular and haploid. Student, when reductional division, cell division takes place, then the chromosome number remain half, and in that condition the cell is known as haploid cell. So when gamete formation takes place, always they form haploid cells, means gametes are the haploid cells. The offspring differ from parent. Here slight variation occur in the offspring, that is why they vary from each other, and that is why it becomes the basis for the evolution. So meiosis and fertilization are essential event. It is necessary for the continuation of a species. Formation of sex organ is essential. If organ means gonads are not formed, then the gametes will not be prepared, and if the reproductive units as gamete will not be prepared, then the sexual reproduction will not take place. So first, the maturity development of the gonad is necessary. It introduces variations, hence of evolutionary significance. As they become the basis for evolution, that is why this kind of reproduction is very significant. Now student, first we will discuss this kind of reproduction in flowering plant, and then we will study this in human being. For knowing the sexual reproduction in organism, first we have to study the typical flower structure. We have to study the structure of flower. You can see here in the diagram, a typical flower has some accessory part as well as some reproductive parts also. Base part of a flower on which all the parts are attached, it is called as thalamus, or it is also called as the receptacle. Student, this flower is a modified shoot. You know what is shoot? When plant grow, it has two parts. One lie below the ground, that is called as root, and which lie it is called as shoot. So when this shoot grow and mature, when it completely develop, at the tip of this shoot the flower grows. That is why the flower is known as the modified shoot. So when flower start to develop, node and internodes contracts and they form its base, that is called as the thalamus, and the stalk through it attached to the plant is called as the petal. Near the thalamus, two green leafy structure arises which are called as the sepals, and they are called as calyx too. Commonly they are called as calyx. It forms outer wall of the flower. Above that, some brightly colored leaf-like structures are there which attract the pollinators such as insect. These structures are called as petals. After sepal, the wall of petal is there and they protect the inner wall of reproductive organs. The main function of these petals is to attract the pollinators. Then after, male and female reproductive organs are there which make two separate whorls. The third whorl is of male reproductive organ which is called as stamen. You may see here, it's a bilobed structure which is attached with a stalk or filament-like structure. This is commonly called as stamen. So this lobed structure is called as anther lobe and the stalk is called as the filament, and commonly they are called as stamen. They form male reproductive organ in which the male gamete forms. Innermost whorl is of pistil which is female reproductive organ. Its tip is called as stigma which is sticky in nature. It receives the pollen grain during the pollination. Long slender tube-like structure. It is called as style, and the swollen base part is swollen, that is called as ovary, which consists of small structure which are called as ovule in which the female gametophyte is formed. So commonly these all structures, stigma, style, ovary and ovule, they are called as the pistil. This is female reproductive organ of the flower. So male reproductive organ is called as androecium and female reproductive organ of the flower is called as gynoecium. In this way, four whorls are there. They are called as calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. If all flower, then the flower is called as a complete and perfect flower. But if flower is lacking any one of them, then it is imperfect flower. Means if only male reproductive organ is there, then the flower is called as staminate. If only pistil is there, then it is called as pistillate flower. So some flower has bisexual flower or some has unisexual flower. Means if only one kind of reproductive organ is present in the flower, then the flower is called as unisexual. Or if both the reproductive organ are present in the flower, then the flower is called as bisexual flower. Some other terms are there regarding the flower that are bracteate flower. Means if a small leaf-like structure is present at the base of node of the flower, then it is called as the bracteate flower. If bracts are not present, then the flower is called as ebracteate. Above that, so two more small leafy structure are there which are called as bracteoles. These bracteoles and bracts are present in some flower and it may absent in some other flowers. If flower is directly attached to the stem, then it is called as sessile. So flower may be pedicellate or maybe sessile, maybe bracteate or ebracteate. If it is attached with the stalk there which is called as pedicel, then pedicellate flower. If attached directly with its base, then it is called as sessile. If bracts are there, then the flower is called as bracteate. If bract is absent, then it is called as ebracteate flower. Now we will study the reproductive organ in detail. So first we will study the stamen. As I told you, two structure are there in male reproductive organ stamen, that is its bilobed. So this lobed structure vary in different species of plant. It may be bilobed, it may be kidney shaped, may be fused and separated. It may be more or may be few in number. This lobed structure attached with a long slender tube which is called as connective, and these lobes are anther lobe which contains small dust like particles which are called as pollen grains, and the long slender tube, that is filament. So anther lobe, connective, filament, together they are called as stamen, which form male reproductive organ or androecium. Pistil, which is female reproductive organ, as I told you, its tip is called as the stigma, slender tube-like structure, style, swollen base part, ovary, and inside the ovary, ovule are there, which form male gametophyte. So commonly all these structures are called as pistil. The function of stigma is to receive the pollen grain during the pollination. After that, the pollen tube forms which convey the male gamete into the ovary. In that, the style help for the conveying of male gametophyte, and then fertilization takes place. Fertilization takes place, which is also called as syngamy. Means here the gametes are fusing together. So it is called as syngamy, means fusion of the gametes. Then after fertilization, post-fertilization changes takes place in the flower, which leads to the formation of fruit and seeds. In this way, they give rise a new plant. So these are the different phases in which we have to study. The pre-fertilization means gametogenesis and development of the gametes, and then fertilization process and post-fertilization changes. For pre-fertilization event, first we will study the internal structure of anther and then the formation of male gametophyte, which is called as pollen grain. As pollen grain are smaller than the female gametophyte, that is why it is called as microspore, and the formation of this microspore is known as the microsporogenesis. Means the process of formation of male gamete is called as microsporogenesis, which takes place inside the anther. So we are going to study the microsporogenesis. You can see here in the diagram the detailed structure of anther is there. The anther is bilobed structure. It looks like a capsicum. When we take a transverse section of it, we can see its internal structure. You can see here there are two lobes, and each lobe is separated by each other with the help of connective tissue, and it is called as theca. It's a dithecal structure, means two layered structure encloses it, and inside it a tube-like structure continues, which is called as pollen sac. Means anther is a bilobed structure, consists of two pollen sac, which are tube-like structure, which continue through the whole anther length, and these pollen sac means each anther lobe contains 4 elongated cavities, which are called as pollen sac, and these are called as microsporangia. These microsporangia, you can see in the diagram, these red colored structure which continues and form a cavity or tube like structure, they are called as microsporangia, in which microspores produce, means pollen grain produced. So the microsporangium, when we study in detail, it has some typical layer from outer to inner. Its outer layer, it is called as epidermis, which encloses all the tissues of it. Then next layer is endothecium. Endothecium, that is the layer which is fibrous in nature, and it helps in dehiscence, means breaking of the microsporangium to release the pollen grain. Then after 3-celled structure, 1, 2 and 3. This 3-layered structure is called as middle layer. This middle layer reduce or degenerate during the dehiscence and make the anther lobe spacious to release the pollen grains. After that, each lobe consists of this cavity-like structure or tube-like structure which is called as pollen sac. Before that, elongated celled structure is there which is called as tapetum. It is very important layer of the anther which is nutritive in nature, means it provides nutrition for developing microspores. So after tapetum, when this pollen sac is there, it has sporogenous tissue. Sporogenous means which are responsible for the formation of microspore. Among these, some prominent cell which are called as archisporial cell. These archisporial cell divide periclinally, means they form 2 layers and it forms 2 layers. One layer of parietal tissue and another one is of. So outer word of the pollen sac, that is the parietal tissue, and inner layer contains sporogenous tissue. These sporogenous tissue undergo the meiotic cell division, and through a single meiotic cell division they form 4 haploid microspore. Tissue which undergo the meiosis cell division, they are called as PMC, we use for that. This pollen mother cell form haploid microspore. If we see a detailed structure of only one part of the anther, then we can see outermost layer, that is epidermis. In this way you can draw inner layer, that is endothecium, which is fibrous in nature, and 3-layered structure, that is middle layer. 3 layers of the cell is there. First layer, then second layer, and then third layer of the cell. Afterwards, elongated cell are there with the prominent nuclei, sometimes more nuclei are there. This tapetum is of elongated cell and it provides nourishment to the developing microspores. After that, pollen sac is there. The wall of this pollen sac, or pollen sac is also called as the microsporangium. The wall of this microsporangium is made up of sporogenous tissue. So outerward parietal cells are there. These are formed from archaeosporial cells, and inner cells are sporogenous cell. These are also called as microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell, and they form 4 pollen grains. From one cell, when 4 haploid pollen grains are formed, this is called as tetrad. They are enclosed in a single cell wall. So this is the formation of microspore, that is called as microsporogenesis. These microspores separates from each other, and when anther becomes spacious, when it matures and dehydrated, it starts to burst. The bursting of these walls of the anther is called as dehiscence. You can see here that when wall breaks, dehiscence takes place and millions of the pollen grain released from it. When this dehiscence takes place. Before that, this tetrate release the single pollen grain which is circular in its structure and it is double layered structure. You can see here the structure of pollen grain. Mainly it is circular, but it may vary in different species. Its outer layer is spiny, very thick, and it is made up of a special tissue which is called as sporopollenin. So outermost layer of the pollen grain is called as exine and it is made up of sporopollenin. It's a very tough type of protein which is resistant to the chemical, temperature and some other substances. It is discontinuous, means at some places it is discontinuous or thin. Then inner layer of it, that is called as intine. Intine is the inner layer of the pollen grain and it is made up of cellulose plus pectin. It is thin in nature. Exine is thick but the intine is thin. Innermost part of the pollen grain bears cytoplasm and one irregular distinct nucleus and one small nucleus. So, in this way the cell contains two nuclei, one bigger and one small, and it forms two parts of the cell. Pollen grain is a germ cell, it's a kind of cell and it has two parts. One part which has irregular large nucleus, it is called as vegetative cell, which has stored food in the form of starch plus oil droplets. So it is nutritive in nature and help in the formation of other microspores. Other part of the cell which is smaller have prominent but smaller nucleus and dense cytoplasm. This part of cell is called as generative cell. Generative cells involve in the fertilization and syngamy. This generative cell has smaller nucleus. Furtherly, this divide into two daughter nuclei and form male gamete. This generative cell's nucleus divide into two nuclei and form male gamete. Till then, they are called as only the pollen grain. After this two-celled structure or three-celled structure, it is called as male gamete. The size of this pollen grain is 25 to 30 nanomicrometer in diameter. Then after complete formation and maturation, it becomes capable for the formation, for the pollination. This phase of the pollen grain is called as pollen viability. So pollen viability means the time or duration in which it can pollinate, it can reach on the stigma, pollinate and enter into the ovary to fuse with ovule. So this time generally it is 30 minutes. It may vary species to species. This is the viability of pollen grain. To increase this duration, pollen grains are stored in pollen banks at a specific condition. These conditions are, they are stored in liquid nitrogen at the temperature of minus 196 degree Celsius, or it is called as cryopreservation. So these were all about the formation of male gametophyte or microspore, which is called as microsporogenesis.